Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and your late-night voice of reason, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am here with the Robservations Midnighter, Episode 5. This is, of course, the show about you imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity. It is the opportunity for you to come on this show live and say your piece. Tell me what's on your mind. What are you thinking about tonight? I'll tell you what I'm thinking about. I am thinking about what I'm always thinking about. I'm thinking about Hollywoodland and everything that entails. No, there's all kinds of craziness happening everywhere. I mean, in Hollywood, there's all kinds of craziness happening all the time. But with all of these, consolidations and studio purchases and Discovery merging with Warner Brothers and restructuring at Disney, I mean, the industry is in an incredible amount of flux right now. And on one hand, it's very exciting. And on the other hand, you never know what's happening from day to day. And I wanted to talk about the fact that it really does look like Amazon is going to purchase MGM. And that's rather incredible. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal. It was actually from yesterday, updated at 6:30 Eastern Time. And I didn't get a chance to cover this on regular observations, so I thought, why not use it as a topic for tonight as a jumping off point? What do you guys think? Amazon.com Incorporated is nearing a deal to buy the Hollywood studio MGM. This is, by the way, from the Wall Street Journal. Juliet Chung, Joe Flint, and Eric Schwartzel wrote this article. Amazon.com is nearing a deal to buy the Hollywood studio MGM Holdings for almost $9 billion. Including debt, said people familiar with the matter, a pact that would turn a film operation founded in the silent era into a streaming asset for the e-commerce giant. An agreement could be announced as early as this week, people close to the situation said, assuming the talks don't fall apart at the last minute. The deal would mark Amazon's second largest acquisition in history, behind its $13.7 billion purchase of Whole Foods in 2017, and highlight the premium that content is commanding as streaming wars force consolidation and drive bigger players to bulk up with assets that help them compete. The privately traded MGM was valued at around $5.5 billion, including debt, last December. Its stock price has soared in recent days from about $105 a share in mid-May before talks were reported to roughly $140 a share Monday morning. The share price reached $150 Monday afternoon after the Wall Street Journal reported news of the expected deal. The fabled movie and TV studio had around $2 billion of long-term debt at the end of March. It has long been considered in play, but hired investment banks Liontree LLC and Morgan Stanley late last year to begin a formal process. News of the deal's talks first emerged as AT&T Incorporated agreed to combine its media assets with Discovery Incorporated and form a new company, a pact that is expected to spark even further media consolidation. The talks between Amazon and MGM have been on again, off again since the start of the year. People close to both companies said Amazon and MGM have been in exclusive talks in recent weeks. The people said the MGM board was briefed on the matter Sunday night. A person close to the situation said there are no guarantees they will ultimately reach an agreement. An acquisition of one of the most iconic entertainment brands in the world would be the most aggressive foray yet by a tech giant into Hollywood. The studio is best known for classics such as Singing in the Rain, as well as Rocky and the Pink Panther. MGM has a library of titles, including the James Bond franchise, that, in contemporary Hollywood, is most valuable as an asset that can be used to drive subscriber signups to Amazon Prime's video streaming service. MGM has also had a TV studio whose shows include the hit The Handmaid's Tale and FX's Fargo. It also owns the premium pay TV channel Epix. MGM shares the James Bond franchise with a holding company owned by the Wilson Broccoli family, who co-own the copyright to existing Bond movies and control the future of the franchise. The next James Bond movie, No Time to Die, was repeatedly delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic and is now scheduled for release in October. While Amazon is getting a big library, the MGM classics such as The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind were sold long ago with the rest of the pre-1948 catalog and now belong to AT&T's Warner Brothers. Forbes and the information previously reported on the Amazon interest in MGM. Amazon has continued to invest billions of dollars in its film and TV operations, as well as live sports, to support its Prime membership offering. The company is currently in production on a TV series based on Lord of the Rings, which has a first season budget of $465 million. Amazon has spent hundreds of millions of dollars acquiring would-be theatrical releases from major studios, like Paramount Pictures' forthcoming The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt. It also aggressively pursued a deal to stream movies from Sony Pictures Entertainment on its service, a person familiar with the situation said. Sony Pictures ultimately ended up reaching a multi-year agreement with Netflix Incorporated. It's also investing heavily in live sports. In March, Amazon struck a long-term deal to stream the NFL's Thursday Night franchise at an average annual fee of $1.2 billion. The MGM deal would mark the latest twist in what has been a rocky journey for the studio. In 2018, it fired then-chief executive Gary Barber for having preliminary conversations with Apple for a sale that valued the studio at more than $6 billion. Since then, MGM has had no chief executive officer, instead having an office of the CEO comprising executives across the company. Its board is chaired by Kevin Ulrich, co-founder of New York hedge fund Anchorage Capital Group, MGM's largest shareholder. MGM has weighed in on long-term hedge fund shareholders in recent years, several of whom got involved around 2010 with the idea that MGM's value could be boosted through a refresh of its film and television library, and they could then exit through an initial public offering or the sale of the studio. A deal would mark a long-awaited win for Anchorage and firms including Highland Capital Management LP and Davidson Kempner Capital Management LP, all of which converted their debt to equity when MGM emerged from bankruptcy in late 2010. Should a deal be finalized by MGM and Amazon, it would heighten antitrust concerns for the technology giant, which is already at the center of multiple probes because of its size and power. Congress, the FTC, and the European Union, among others, have been looking into the way Amazon competes. A report last year from Congress determined that Amazon had monopoly power over its sellers. At the time, Amazon addressed the findings in a blog post. All large organizations attract the attention of regulators, and we welcome that scrutiny, but large companies are not dominant by definition, and the presumption that success can only be the result of anti-competitive behavior is simply wrong, it said. Colorado Republican Ken Buck, the ranking Republican member of the House Antitrust Subcommittee that prepared the report, expressed concern over a potential deal between Amazon and MGM. This proposed merger is yet another example of big tech's commitment to total dominance in every sector of our economy. If Congress does not act soon, there won't be a market big tech doesn't control, Mr. Buck said in a statement. Amazon didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, and MGM spokeswoman declined to comment on Mr. Buck's statement. Members of Congress have also publicly criticized former Amazon deals, such as its acquisition of Whole Foods, which they say should have had tougher scrutiny. The Journal chronicled how entrepreneurs who have held talks with Amazon's deal-making arm felt exploited by the Seattle company. Amazon said legitimate disputes about intellectual property are resolved in courts. Congress is expected to introduce new legislation that, if passed, would hamper the ability of tech giants to strike some large deals. Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that MGM technically, while it really isn't doing that much now, and it does have this back catalog, everything from 1948 on or 1949, that is very valuable. But Amazon isn't technically a streamer. They stream video, yes, but that's not their primary business. You get to be a member of their streaming service if you are a Prime customer. Prime customers allow Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime Business allows you to get discounts on shipping if you buy a lot of stuff. I use Amazon quite a bit, so I've been a Prime member for years and years. Being a Prime member, it's one of the perks. And I know that Amazon is using, I guess, Amazon thinks of all of their streaming product as a loss leader in a way to get you to come to Amazon and use their service and buy stuff. I mean, at this point, who doesn't know Amazon? And I read an article that talked about Amazon not having a breakout streaming show. Even though when you think about Amazon, they've got things like The Boys, and there is a ton of stuff that Amazon has that are Amazon originals, but they have yet, I guess, to have a destination breakout water cooler show, although I would argue that they do have a lot of shows that people are watching. It really depends. What is it that they want to be? I don't necessarily see a lot of passion and enthusiasm coming out of Amazon to produce great streaming programming. And that's, let's face it, the only thing that's going to win in the streaming wars, and I don't know what that means really to win in the streaming wars. I guess to have a viable service that has enough subscribers that they can pay for new programming, that's a win. Obviously, we've seen with Netflix that has a big head start on everyone. They do a lot of great new programming. They have diverse programming from all over the world. They specialize in everything. Documentaries, comedy specials, dramas. I mean, what doesn't Amazon do? I mean, what doesn't Netflix do? Amazon's kind of all over the place. If you're a filmmaker, you can actually put your movie up on Amazon. It's a terrible deal, but you can still make money from your film if you want to. But unlike, say, Disney Plus, which obviously lives and dies by its subscriptions, Netflix, which also does the same, Paramount Plus, the Peacock, all of those things, which live and die by subscriptions. Amazon doesn't. You get a subscription with a Prime membership, which they sell anyway. So it's really, it's interesting to me to see how that economic model is going to work when they're spending a reported, well, $250 million for the rights, just the rights to make a Lord of the Rings series, and then they're going to spend almost $500 million to make that series. That's a huge risk. I don't see how they monetize that back. I don't know what their economic model is, but it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Like, what are they going to produce? What are they looking into doing? Is Amazon going to have certain guidelines as to what they're wanting to expand into? Do they want to do comedy specials or reality programming? Are they going to develop relationships with filmmakers and content providers to continue to? Are they going to hire someone like Shonda Rhimes to come in or somebody to work specifically for them to make up these shows? I also don't know. Like, I guess spending $9 million for MGM, the name is useful, but are they going to continue, or $9 billion, are they going to continue to make MGM movies? It's pretty unclear. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they have a Hollywood brand that's been around for a century, but if they're not going to do anything with it, if they're just going to acquire a library, I don't think that's really exciting. What is exciting is if they use the MGM brand, an Amazon company, resurrect it and turn it into a real player in terms of content providing material, like get great filmmakers to come and make MGM movies again. Put MGM back on the map. That's what I hope to see happen. Who knows if it's going to happen? I don't know. All in all, it's very interesting. We again live in these interesting times, and the fact that all of this is happening all at once is pretty well, it's pretty crazy, to be honest. Well, and I'll tell you something. I believe that I actually have a couple of letters, if memory serves. So I'd like to get to those. I want to start those first and then get to you. This one comes from Mad Villainy. So this is from Mad Villainy. On a recent Midnighter, you said that you hadn't gotten any Midnighter letters as of yet. So here you go. Hi, Rob and fellow Midnighters. I have a confession to make, as I have an inexcusable blind spot in my fandom. This proverbial blind spot takes form in Frank Herbert's renowned series, Dune. I'm not quite sure how, but my many, many years of nerd indulgences, I've never read the series. However, in lieu of Denis Villeneuve's film adaptation's eminent approach, I finally decided to give Dune a shot. At the time of writing this, I'm 20 odd pages into book one, and, well, I'm only 20 pages into the book, so I'm afraid I don't have much insight to offer, but I'll do my best. There's a beautiful moment when starting a book, movie, or even an album where nothing has changed from the moment before you started it. I've heard the sentiment echoed many a time that if only a person could experience their favorite piece of art as if it were the first time, that's what starting Dune felt like. From the opening paragraph, Frank Herbert's writing style is strangely alien, yet somehow intoxicating. Herbert launches you into this vast world as if you already understand the dynamics of its culture, allowing him to explain things through natural dialogue instead of heady exposition drops. All things considered, I found the first 20 pages of Dune intriguing, if a bit confusing at times, and I look forward to writing you about any new thoughts I have along this grand adventure. Sincerely, the Post-Geek Singularity's villain, who is very jealous of Frank Herbert's vocabulary. Well, Mad Villainy, welcome to being a Dune acolyte. You know, it's interesting. I find modern fandom, in a way, sort of frustrating in the sense that a lot of people, members of the Post-Geek Singularity, and a lot of people that are younger, are not big readers. And I guess I don't expect them to be, but because we have so much with the kind of video games we have and social media and all that. But to me, when I was growing up, if you were a member of, if we had the Post-Geek Singularity back then, the Geek Singularity had not occurred yet, so we wouldn't have. But if you were a fan of science fiction, fantasy, and horror, a literary component to your fandom was just as important as movies and television. Video games really weren't a factor since they didn't really exist other than Pong when I was a kid. When I was 10 years old, I begged my parents to let me join the science fiction book club. And one of the great things about the science fiction book club is my parents were happy to pay, a couple bucks a month, sometimes $4 or $5 a month, maybe $10, maybe. They just loved the fact I was ordering books. And one of the things that I got from the science fiction book club was like the Foundation trilogy. I got Terry Brooks' first Shannara novel. I started reading. And I was going through and getting the great canonical works of modern science fiction, reading Heinlein and Isaac Asimov and Arthur Clarke and Frank Herbert. And Dune was one of those books that, because of it's not just its language, it was the world building. I mean, all the language, the words that Frank Herbert made up to explain things. I always think of the Landsrad when I think about all of the even the houses watching Game of Thrones. I don't think of it as Westeros. I guess the Landsrad that make up Westeros. I mean, there was so many great words and concepts and things, and just very heady stuff. And when you would dive into science fiction novels, I felt like I was just opening the door into a strange new world every time I read a book. Dune was like that. And back when I was growing up, that was like revered. You had to read Dune. And nowadays, I think it's, obviously when kids are growing up with things like Harry Potter or The Hunger Games or Twilight, which are great, but for me, my young adult fiction was The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand, or it was Dune. It's strange to me that we even have YA fiction, because to me, all fiction was YA fiction. But, it's great that people are discovering Dune for the first time, and what an exciting experience you're going to have. I'm curious, are you planning on reading? There's obviously 6 Dune books in there's Dune, Children of Dune, Dune Messiah, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune, and what a story they tell. And I think you're really in for a treat, and it's great that you are delving into that. So, by the way, thank you for writing the first letter I've received here at the Midnighter. So that's really exciting. Now, of course, as you know, part of the appeal of this show is to allow you members of the Post-Geek Singularity, to come on this show. And again, I would ask, if you haven't come on this show, if you've already been on the show, please just hang back and let's see if people who haven't been on the show will come on. I know a lot of you have been repeat customers, which I don't mind, and it's great to see all of you, and I really appreciate that people want to come on the show. But it's nice to have people that I haven't met before, and more importantly, that you, the audience, hasn't met. But anyway, if you want to come on this show and you've got a decent mic and a decent camera, there is in the live chat the link to join me here on the Midnighter, or just Midnighter. There's no the in it. I mean, I guess there could be if you wanted it in there. But there is not. So we'll see if anybody comes on. It's been really interesting getting to meet you guys and girls and gentle beings and kind souls from across the 28 known galaxies. It's funny I just say that. We know there aren't 28 known galaxies. There's really only one known galaxy. I mean, we know of other galaxies, but we don't know them in the biblical sense. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, there it is. And so yeah, hopefully we're going to have a very fun time. Obviously, this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, Chaosium, the band Chaosium, apparently we're going to have the band's lead singer on Midnight Metal. Chaosium has been tearing up the YouTube charts, so that's kind of cool. I think that's really neat. Midnight Metal has turned into quite the fun show, and it'll be interesting to see where it develops. But Louis Terraza says one day I will be a guest. Well, I don't know. Maybe no one will come on. Echo Base Network is here. Hello, Echo Base Network. Louis, why not make yourself a guest now? So you never know. We'll see who. Wiley Todd apparently is here. Let's bring in Wiley Todd if he's available. Hello, Wiley Todd. Can you hear me? All right. Would you like to come on to Midnighter tonight? Well, I'm gonna. Wow, you sound quite good. You have a great microphone there, sir. And we got a couple of people here, so I'm gonna bring you into the show, and let me add you to the stream here. This is Wiley Todd's going to be joining us. Let me just put you in, which will be fun. And I'll get you in. This is a lot of fun to meet you. And you're going to have, I'm going to bring in two people at the same time. So we're going to have a trilogy, three of us, three people on tonight's show. So let me first introduce you all to, this is Wiley Todd. Please welcome him to the Midnighter. And now we have Paul Meyer. I think it's Meyer. Paul, how are you? Can you hear me? Paul, are you ready to go on to the Midnighter? Are you excited? Are you ready? I will bring you on the show. This is good. We've got, we're going to get to know, is it Meyer or Mammer? Is it Meyer? Meyer. All right. So I got it. I got it right. Well, that's a good thing. So I'm going to, let me just get you put in the show. So we have, again, Wiley Todd and Paul Meyer joining us. This is exciting. Tonight on Midnighter. All right, so welcome. This is Paul Meyer joining us.
Hello.
So, gentlemen, welcome to Midnighter. Now, let me ask you both. Would you consider yourselves imagination connoisseurs?
I would think so, a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, because personally, I'm not like super into like sci-fi and all that.
What?
But I do have like a long like distance type of love for it, and it's been very recently I've actually found myself more imagination connoisseur than ever, actually.
Well, pretty much all sci-fi has long distance by definition.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, is that like you're in different colleges in different states, and you have to call sci-fi and see how she's doing? Sci, how are you? I miss you, babe. When are we going to see each other again? So what about you, Paul? I mean, are you an imagination connoisseur?
Oh, for sure, a long time.
So what Paul? What got you into it? What was your gateway drug?
Well, probably just like the DC Comics when I was a kid, like huge Batman cartoon fan. Growing up, even like got all the toys when I was like 6 and 7, and just kept on going, kind of thing.
Nice. And what about you, Wiley?
So it's kind of hard to say because I've always been like always been a movie guy. It's always been established. But I would say like I would say that my gateway would have been Star Wars, but I would say more so recently there has been stuff that has been more of my gateway drug, I would say.
So, well, what's an example of that?
So one actually, Rob, I don't know if you remember this, but you came on one of my shows for an interview once called James Bond First Watch,
I do
which I
remember
would
that.
say that is a big one recently. But kind of in the realm of video games, actually, I would say Halo has been
All
a
right.
massive, massive, massive thing for me recently, and has made my mind blown in so many ways.
Well, now it's all coming back to me. Our conversation about Bond was pretty great. But now let me ask you this. Did you recently start playing Halo? Because you said, or did you play Halo when it first came out?
So the funny story is, of course, how most things happen. I got into Halo through a girl I like, of course, and that's been her favorite game.
I don't know if that's an
And-
of course situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty much that's a pretty great. If you're getting into Halo through a girl you like or whatever, a girl you met, that's all good.
So
And it's
about
not a
growing up-
euphemism. Can I get into your Halo, honey? I don't know. 'Cause I'll show you how to play the game.
But like growing up, I've always heard of Halo. It's always been a thing that has been around ever since I was born, pretty much, because that's when the first game came out. And through that, I just kind of went out of my mind. And then recently, I met this girl, and I just picked up the games just to get into it for her. And basically, could not stop playing. Become my favorite game franchise. There's even books I picked up now.
Yeah, there's like
about
novels.
Halo.
You can
Yeah,
yeah.
and that kind of leads into another thing is from Halo. From that, I kind of picked up more things she was into, and that was more like fantasy novels. And I actually just got done today, a couple hours ago. I finished the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh,
And I would say that would be another thing that I'm really into as well.
he's also the guy who finished the Wheel of Time books for Robert Jordan, isn't he?
I haven't read those.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't
I
know.
think he
Yeah.
did. If I'm getting it wrong, there's somebody named Stubble McShave from Sweden who's going to kill me. Now, let me ask you this, Paul. Did a girl lead you through her Halo and get you into gaming, or how did that happen? Did you you got into it? But what are some of your passions when it comes to movies, books, video games, TV?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I've definitely played all kinds of games. My parents had an Intellivision growing up.
Dude, that was my jam. And television was my game system. Did you play it, or was it?
Yeah. I had this little controller. You had to replace the memory cards because
Yeah.
the buttons were different on
Yeah.
all
yeah.
the games.
Did you have a favorite television game?
The only one I can I was pretty young, so the only one I can remember is there was a game called I think Captain Kangaroo, and it was like a boxing kangaroo, and
Wow,
that's all that I can remember.
That I did not play, but
Yeah.
they had great sports games. They had all kinds of sea battle. There's a game called Utopia that my friends and I used to play endlessly, where you're the leader of an island and you had to build up your island and fight another island, which is great. And then they had the first game with like a voice simulator, and one of them was called B-17 Bomber.
Yeah.
And the voice simulator would go, B-17 Bomber, which I loved. It was like a World War II game where you had to bomb from a B-17 bomber. So it was great. So, wow. And I haven't taught, that was, in television to me was 70s, 80s. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now I feel
and
fucking old, just so you know.
I mean,
I am,
it's-
but.
yeah, well, none of my friends know what I'm talking about when I say the words Intellivision. So
That's because they're not intelligent. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No, I'm not. I don't mean to slag off on your friends, but not many people do. I mean, you go back, and I think it was the first 8-bit or 16-bit system, and
definitely 8 or less. The SNES is for 16-bit.
Oh yeah, then it was 8-bit,
Yeah.
and so then did you graduate to Nintendo and
Yeah. I've owned every Nintendo system, I guess, except for the 3D, the Game Boy, Virtual Boy, I think it's called.
right?
Other than that, I've owned them all. So
Yeah, my first was an N64, and I had to get it because of Shadows of the Empire. just because I love that first level with walkers. I love taking down the
Yeah,
walkers.
how you
But that was
run the rope around the legs or whatever.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
pretty good. I mean, I really liked the Nintendo 64 controller. I really liked the center joystick. I thought it was I love the way it worked. I love the
very
physics behind it.
controversial when it came out. Yes.
Yes, it was, but I dug it.
Yeah.
So Paul, now usually it's the reverse. It's the boyfriends getting in to get their, at least when I was growing up, getting their girlfriends into this thing. I like hearing the reverse because we've kind of reached gender parity when it comes to imagination connoisseurs. When I was a kid, you'd go to the comic book store. If you saw a girl once a month, it'd be like, oh, there's a girl in the comic book store. Oh my God. And now, of course, the world has changed. You go to the San Diego Comic Con, it's multi-generations of whole families. And there's no difference anymore. Everyone, that's why I call it the post-geek singularity, because everyone's a geek. Old, young, boys, girls, they, them, he, she, doesn't matter. We're all imagination connoisseurs, depending. It doesn't matter who you are. So the world has changed for the better. See, when I was a kid, it would be a dream to have a girl introduce you to Halo. That's something that, man, never was going to happen back in the 80s, I'll tell you. Or maybe it would once every million years, but it's good to hear that. So let me ask you this. What are some of the things you guys dig now? The things you're looking forward to now? Movies coming out, games, books, anything.
So for me,
No Time to Die.
yeah, of course. Very excited for that. But honestly, you can't really see it on my screen, but I know you can, Rob. I have like a big poster of Top Gun in my background. I am a massive Tom Cruise fan. He is my favorite actor. I've seen every single one of his movies, and anything he comes out with, I'll support. And of course, Top Gun 2 has been my most anticipated for the last 2 years now.
Doesn't it suck? I mean,
yes.
In human history, if we had to wait these movies are done.
Yeah.
Like, it kills me that there are people I know who can't say it, but they have copies of these movies. And they've been able to watch No Time to Die. They've been able to watch Dune. They've been able to watch Top Gun. There are people, I know for a fact, there are people that have either screeners or they've seen these movies, and I can't, it boggles my mind that there's a James Bond movie that's been finished for over a year. It was supposed to come out. I had seats. I had my favorite seats in my favorite theater in L.A., and that theater is no longer with us. It's been closed down. The company that ran it's gone, and we still haven't seen the goddamn movie. So
Sucks.
So Top Gun. I mean, I'm excited to see Top Gun. I really it looks terrific. The aerial photography looks off the chain. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see that if it delves into the idea that fighter pilots are they're dinosaurs because of drones, and what do you need to participate in that kind of aerial combat for? Do we still need that? I can't wait. I'm really excited. I like you. I mean, Joseph Kosinski, I think, is going to knock it out of the park, and it looks fantastic. What about you? What about you, Paul? What are you waiting for?
I guess I'd be looking forward to the Suicide Squad.
Right. Me too.
I'm hoping to get back to theaters, hopefully, for that one. That's kind of my plan. Yeah, Top Gun for sure. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. It's interesting that you say, Wiley, you're a Tom Cruise and a James Bond fan. So if you had to pick one, Mission Impossible or James Bond?
Ooh.
Okay, so that's difficult because that's the whole thing I brought Rob on for First Watch, is my first time going through the movies for the first time ever. And I haven't revisited them yet for a second time yet, besides some of the Daniel Craig's. But that's a very difficult question. But I will. The only reason I'm going to say, because until I rewatch them again, I'm sorry, Rob, but I'm going to have to go Mission Impossible, because some of the bad James Bond movies are really bad. And and my favorite Bond, we talked about this, is Roger Moore. And he has A View to a Kill, which is, I can't stand that movie. And
I reviewed that for my high school newspaper, and I said it was the first James Bond movie I thought was boring. I didn't like it. I was very, very disappointed in A View to a Kill. On a number of different levels.
Yeah, it was just There's some, but I love James Bond, and like I have posters hanging up in my room now, which before I had to go into that, I never thought I would. But again, when you look at Mission Impossible's track record, the only bad one is 2, and I feel like
But
2
is it bad? Is it?
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I think Mission
Is it?
Impossible 2 is better than the worst James Bond movies.
Yes.
And
Plus
that's why yeah.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. What about you, Paul? Are you a Bond fan at all?
Not as much of a Bond fan. I do love the Mission Impossible movies, though. But
Yeah.
the Bond films, I've watched a couple of them. Like, speaking of the Nintendo 64, obviously GoldenEye was huge for the Nintendo 64. I watched that one. I've watched a couple of the Daniel Craig ones, but they don't really stick to me, I would say.
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, as a lifelong James Bond fanatic, the Mission Impossible films have really supplanted the Bond franchise in delivering that global action fix that made the Bond franchise so great. I mean, I hate to say it, the Chris McQuarrie Rogue Nation, I'm actually Ghost Protocol too, but Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout were incredible action films. I mean, they out-bonded Bond. And it's unfortunate to see that. I mean, the last Bond movie I really loved was Casino Royale. You know, I wasn't a big Skyfall fan. Quantum of Solace, kind of an apologist for. But let me ask you, both of you, let me ask you this question. What is it that attracts you to something these days? Like, when you're watching an action film, like I had a real problem. I love the Fast and the Furious franchise. I know it's lowbrow, but I had a real problem with Fast and the Furious 9. It seems silly to say because I feel it lost its grip on any kind of reality. I couldn't believe in it. Now, what is it that draws you to the things that you like? Like, whether it's action movies, do you like characters? Do you like the action, the combination of the two? What is it about these things? What do you look for when you're watching these kinds of movies? I guess, Paul, start with you.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess the last action movie I would say that I really, really loved would have been John Wick. So I think part of what really, especially the first one, the world building,
Totally agree.
to go with the Continental, I think there was plans to make a series about the Continental itself.
Yeah.
And, you know, all those gold coins and the assassins, and there's just so much more that you could kind of go on. And then you combine that with the stylistic action in that movie, which was phenomenal. Action movies used to be land a punch, camera cut, land a punch, camera cut. These ones, they kind of slow. I mean, the action was fast, but they slowed the cameras down, right? Like they kind of stayed with the action, and a lot of it was, you could tell a lot of it was the preparation they put into that movie. You know.
I completely agree, and that's what sold it. I mean, and Keanu Reeves did the same thing when he made the Matrix movies. He trained with Yen Wo Ping for a long time so they didn't have to create. I really don't like action that's created through cutting. Like they'll use cutting to replace actual choreography. So each time they cut, they make a punch land harder by cutting. And to me, that's fake action.
Obviously, the actors can't hit each other for real, so they do their best with camera tricks to mask it. Now, it just seems like Chad Stahelski just knew better camera tricks, I guess. Yeah. And then had more professional fighters, I guess.
So, Wiley, like you watching the Bond franchise, one of the things I've always said about Bond, I think we talked about this, was that when the Bond franchise first started, coming out of Ian Fleming's novels of the 50s, the world itself was really still emerging, even though it was 15 years later, 17 years later when Dr. No came out, still emerging. It's the post-World War II generation, and most people hadn't even been traveling internationally on jetliners. So the Bond franchise with its exotic locations and the women and the action, it was really wish fulfillment for a whole generation of people, and it was a real phenomenon. But unfortunately, over the years, Bond has been it used to be a trendsetter, and now it follows trends, and it doesn't set trends anymore. Now we've had things like the Bourne movies, and we've had John Wick, and we have the Mission Impossible movies. Do you still think that there's a place for James Bond movies today, now in the 20s? Yeah.
I do think there is, but I think it's for the approach to kind of answer your also previous question here is like, what do I look forward to movies, and I usually think it's about star power, and then how the trailer comes out with the music, and because music is a big part of a lot of successes in films, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because if you look at John Wick, for example, you had Hoosier's "Take Me to Church" at the end of the credits of that movie. That song blew up, and I feel like a bunch of songs and how it's portrayed is also star power is really what commends you to a movie. And I feel like Bond is in that stage where is you're hearing more conversation about who's the next Bond than what is going to be this next Bond movie.
Right.
Even though if you're not really operating in the world of Bond, because I am, you are, Rob, so we hear people talking about, oh, the story, but most people you hear, oh, who's the next Bond? And I feel like when you look at every action movie nowadays, it's who's attached to it, unless it's setting a trend, like John Wick. Like, you're going to go see a movie that is like John Wick because it's like John Wick, and that's what it is. But what got you there was Keanu Reeves' name. And the thing is when I talk to people nowadays that are really close to me, I ask them what their favorite type of movies, and they can't give me a straight up answer anymore. They get me, they always say to me that, oh, I like the John Wick type of movie, the revenge type of thing. And that's why I hear that's getting people's gravitational pull to it, to a movie, for example. But like Bond, like you said, it's following trends. But when I was looking at the trailer for Bond No Time to Die, I didn't like it at first, and I watched it 3 times. I just didn't like the trailer. Plus, I'm not really a big Rami Malek fan, so that also plays to it.
Sure.
And I came back to it months later watching the trailer. I was like, I'm fully invested into this because it feels like it's doing the type of Mission Impossible action in a sense, especially with that motorcycle scene going on there.
Yeah, the long shot too, and you see it go up then. Yeah.
Which is awesome, and it's so Bond at the same time, but also what makes James Bond is James Bond and who the character is. And I feel like once you sit in that theater and you're getting the action, that the things that you love from like Mission Impossible, and then you're getting this character, then you're going to be like, okay, I'm in a Bond movie. This is why I'm here. And I feel like Bond can operate in that, but I feel like once this movie's done and how it reacts, it's going to again go back to the number one conversation, who is playing Bond next. And I feel like that is where Bond is right now, is who is next, because most action movies are like, oh, Keanu Reeves or Bob Odenkirk type of thing. And I feel like that's the world that we operated in.
No, well, Darth Plato sends in a tip, and he asks a good question. If Bond is supplanted by Mission Impossible, could Ethan Hawke be continued? Ethan Hunt, I think you meant to say, Darth. Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hunt. Could Ethan Hunt be continued with a different actor, like what was done with Bond? Do you think somebody else could replace Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt?
I guess I'll go first. No, I don't, because I think Tom Cruise brings a presence to it. And like Rob, you've said on Campio's show many of times that he is like our last greatest action star that's been here for years and supplanted his name. And when you look at Ethan Hunt's character, what can you say that's really big about him? Like, who is Ethan Hunt as a character? He is this guy that cares about his job. He's a little bit frazzled when it comes to certain things that he has to end up doing, like in Rogue Nation when he's doing the motorcycle scene. But Bond is a character that was written by Ian Fleming, and just wanting to, it's a character in a sense. And yes, you can have different portrayals of it, but I don't think Ethan Hunt is a character that you can really go beyond what Tom Cruise brings. And I feel like do something like you did with the Bourne movies, like take Jeremy Renner and do that with a new character. Because Mission Impossible is more about the mission and the MIA than it is Ethan Hunt.
I agree. Now, Paul, let me ask you the same question. Do you think, when you're watching a franchise, Bond has obviously been replaced. Now we have like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we saw in the Eternals trailer that they even finally acknowledge that, well, without Tony Stark, without without Chris Evans and without Robert Downey Jr., that's basically what they're saying. Who's going to lead the Avengers? I mean, do you think that these franchises, do they need these actors, or are they replaceable? Can you replace these heavy hitters, these big guns, and still have a franchise work?
Yeah, so I think obviously with the Mission Impossible, I think even the name Ethan Hunt, like the guy who tipped in, didn't even get it right. I don't think Ethan Hunt is a big name. Tom Cruise is a big name, but Ethan Hunt, in my opinion, is not. So I agree. I think that you can continue on Mission Impossible with another character. I don't it doesn't have to be Ethan Hunt or Ethan Hunt's kid or anything. I think it can just be a new character that goes into MI6. And the Mission Impossible it's never been really none of the titles have been James Bond in Goldfinger. It's never been Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible. It's just Mission Impossible.
Right.
So I think you can, and I think obviously these guys are getting up there in age. Tom Cruise broke his leg on the last one, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
foot.
Yeah, and they kept the scene in the shot that was in the show. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I think eventually you're going to have to make the choice. Do you want to replace Tom Cruise, or do you want to not make Mission Impossible movies? So
Right.
I think you're going to have to replace Tom Cruise. And like I said, I think the Ethan Hunt character still has I think they're planning on leaving at 9 with him, and then I don't know what they're going to do, but I think you continue on. The movies are too good not to.
Well, yeah, the impossible mission force, the impossible missions force can continue on. There's no reason you can bring in a whole new. I mean, in a way, it would be interesting to see that they bring in an entirely new cast for each movie and mix and match a bunch of different actors that look cool together, and put them in. I mean, I think it could work, but it's really weird when people think about it. The Mission Impossible franchise is a quarter century old. We're working on movies 7 and 8, and it's incredible. And they've kind of been, obviously, Tom Cruise met Chris McQuarrie when they were working on Bryan Singer's movie Valkyrie about von Stauffenberg trying to kill Hitler, and that's where they all met. And McQuarrie made that relationship with Tom Cruise work and got himself, because he had directed things like Way of the Gun, but he hadn't done anything along the lines of what he'd done with Rogue Nation. And look, I thought Rogue Nation and Fallout were smart, because Chris McQuarrie is a very smart guy. They were smart, elegant films that were beautifully made. They're beautifully composed. It's not shaky cam action. I mean, these are films that were, I think, elegant in a way, if you can call them that. Fallout was, I mean, the stunt work, the parachuting sequences, the helicopter sequences, unbelievable work being done on those movies. And I mean, it's the pinnacle of action filmmaking. So I think they should go on. And now, but let me ask you this. Do you think are you still excited about movies in general? Or do you think that they've been supplanted by video games? I know that eventually we're going to all be existing in our own virtual movies where we're the protagonist. I mean, entertainment is obviously changing. Interactivity is something that's becoming more and more important. And as the technology grows and virtual worlds become, I mean, we're using virtual technology now for making movies, like the stagecraft technology they used to make The Mandalorian. Imagine if you weren't making a movie, but you're in a video game surrounded by these giant screens where you have 360 degrees of movement yourself. It's going to change drama as we know it. Are you both still interested in movies? Do you think in 10 or 20 years movies are going to be sticking around?
I would say so. My little niece and nephew love movie night. They're 7 and 9. They love my nephew. His first movie, we took him to Big Hero 6.
Wow. Okay.
He was so small that how the theater chairs flip up.
Yep.
I had to hold his down. He was so young that I thought his legs kept flipping up into his face. But he sat through the whole movie and loved it. That's how little they started. And I think the movie business hopefully will be fine. For a living, I sell TVs, and then Before that, I had a job at Blockbuster, and before that, I ran a movie theater.
Can you
So
Can you get me the new 77-inch Sony OLED?
Oh yeah, the A90J.
The J, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hook me up, bro, or what?
I can hook you up for sure, for sure.
Come on,
Those,
I'm gonna hold you to that.
I'm actually installing one of those in 2 weeks, I think. So
Where are you at? Do I have to drive like across state lines to pick it up?
for sure, country lines. I'm in Saskatoon. John Campia's old stomping ground.
Oh my God, you're a good Canadian kid. Wow.
So,
No, I have to tell you, this is a total aside. I want that TV.
oh, it's phenomenal. The only TV better than that one, if you can get your hands on it, that Panasonic OLED is slightly better.
Don't even start with me with the Panasonic OLEDs. Where can you get them in North America, for Christ's sake? I mean, I am a huge Panasonic fanboy because they bought. I have a 65-inch Panasonic Plasma. It's my favorite.
Kuro?
It's my favorite. Yeah, my favorite when they bought the Kuro technology from Panasonic, because I was a Panasonic fanboy. This is a total aside. People are gonna be like, "What are they talking about?" But the people that know. So when I bought the very last Panasonic Plasma that they made, the 65-inch.
Is that 60?
It's the last. I think that's what it is. But it was 2013, 2014.
Yep.
And I love that TV. I love it. And it's still, it's great, but I desperately want that Sony OLED.
Yeah. The Sony
I mean, I'd love to get,
like I said,
I'd love
if you can't get the Panasonic OLED, the Sony OLED is.
No, but it's like the Panasonic's like $12,000 or something.
Yeah, for sure. And there's only one place in the States that brings them in under warranty, I think. So.
I know. I read that article about that guy. And like, he's got back orders up. I'm like, what? Why? I just don't understand it. LG is the only company that makes OLED panels. Why the? But I want that Panasonic electronics, man. I want it. But barring that, you can still. What do they sell for in Canada? What does the Sony sell for?
The 77-inch.
Yeah.
Well, it's in Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
$4,500.
No, in Canadian. No, it's more the. I don't know how it works because in Canada you get like the exchange rate, and then you get like the. There's more than just the exchange rate on top of it.
Tax.
So I think it ends up being around 55 or 6,000.
Yeah, here I've seen it. You can get it for like, depending on sale, you can get it for as much as $3,500, $4,000 here.
Yeah,
but it's still pricey.
Beautiful. Like I said, I've installed a couple of them, the old A9Gs, and yeah, they're pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I was at our local Best Buy. I was looking at the G, they had it there, and I was just like salivating over it, going, "Oh my God,
yeah,
I want this so bad." But again, I had a Pioneer. I bought a Pioneer Plasma in 2004 that was $10,000. It was 50 inches and it was $10,000. I had it in my office. In my edit bay back in the mid-aughts.
Yeah, I sold a 32-inch for $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... Listen, Wiley, I want to bring you back in the conversation. We're talking a little. I know
it's all good.
A little bit of a side foray into screen technology, but yes, I'm desperately in the market for that 77-inch. I'd love to get a bigger one, but we don't really have here at the house. We don't have I'd love to get a projector and do a whole home theater, a real home theater. We don't.
The projector's all the candle to the OLEDs. Just so you know.
Well, that I know. That's the whole thing. You can't. That 77-inch OLED, that's the stuff. I've got the room. It would fill it up very nicely.
So I think they are coming out with an 82. Just so you know.
Sony is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, it exponentially goes up in price.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like it's $500 more. It's like $4,000 more.
Yeah.
They're going up to 80 or something. It's like, come on, guys. Don't you want us to buy one? Don't you want me to have it?
Yeah.
I guess I have to stream on YouTube more, I guess.
Yeah. So to bring it back around, I do think the movies will continue. Hopefully everyone.
Well, listen, my last question I'm going to ask the two of you is, how do you feel about the state of entertainment? Are you still excited about it? People talk about how identity politics is permeating our entertainment, but are there still things that you can get excited about? Like, look, man, I don't understand the backlash against the MCU because I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm a lifelong comic fan. I don't think I'm excited for No Time to Die. I looked at the Eternals trailer and I'm like, that looks pretty interesting to me. I don't quite know everything that's going on. I've read the comics. I'm totally in. How do you guys feel about the current state of entertainment moving forward? Are you optimistic that we're going to see some great stuff besides Top Gun and Mission Impossible? Or are you like, enough already?
So, it's kind of complicated because I think it ranges on what we're looking at here. And what it really matters is I feel like we're in a state where what people get most excited about is when a movie comes out of nowhere and knocks it out of the park, and like a John Wick.
I was gonna say the first John Wick.
Yeah, like I feel like that's what people get most excited about. But yet, on the other side of things like Halo, for example, like it's been out of the medium for a while, and Infinite is about to come out, and been so many postpones, but people are forgetting we're getting a Halo show for Paramount, which is probably one of the most exciting things to me, period, because if this hits, like Halo is such a fascinating story. I feel like if they do a good job with producing this, then that could blow up. And I feel like what we're looking at current medium, it's most things that are coming out are things that are old. Like if you like just the realm that I kind of navigate, it's people getting excited about like Avatar live action remake type things, and of course Marvel. And I feel like we're in a state where people are really just looking at these big scope type of productions. And I find myself and many people that I've seen like patterns that once you get something that's like outstandingly made and you can get on this new thing that's not pre-existing, it's a lot better experience. Like last night in Shoujo, my second most anticipated movie, that feels like a movie that's going to blow up, and seeing people's reactions to
man,
it.
that trailer,
yeah,
that trailer fucking rules. And look, I couldn't agree with you more. Like I've always said that no one ever got rich in Hollywood by following a trend. You know, you get rich in Hollywood by setting trends. And I think that, like you pointed out, the John Wick, where's all of our new IPs? I'm still a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but because we hadn't seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe began with an Iron Man movie. Like who thought that was going to be any good? I remember people go back and you look at it. Tom Cruise was going to star in Iron Man. You know, he tried to get one off the ground, and I remember when it was coming out, people were like, is this going to work? You know, is Iron Man going to work? And if you go back and you look at the first Iron Man now, I keep talking about this on the show, but it really is like this intimate story of a man finding himself and realizing the error of his ways. And he's fighting his old mentor for the control of his own company. You know, and then you look at Tony Stark now, and he's snapping the Infinity Gauntlet and wiping out Thanos' forces as they fight on Earth. I mean, it's so interesting how they went from this, you know, this portrait of a man, you know, this rich playboy arms dealer, to finds himself to fighting Thanos for the soul of, you know, to bring back half of humanity. It's crazy, that journey, and I'm there for it. But now it's like, oh, more people are like, oh, Marvel, it's 13 years old. We're so jaded. There's been 23 movies and 2 TV shows, and we got 4 movies coming out this year. There's this. I feel like there's this huge Marvel backlash, and I'm like, what? We're getting Shang-Chi, we're getting Eternals, we're going to get a Black Widow movie, and people are like, Black Widow should have come out 5 years ago, Rob. Like why? I don't even understand that attitude. I'm like, what? It's not like these movies suck. You know, there's a lot of effort and time and put into these things with great actors and incredible production values. Yet, but now we live in a world where people are all like, nah, meh, sucks. What? I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, like I said, I used to run a theater, and I'm a big believer in the movie theater going experience.
Me too.
And the one, you asked the overall state of entertainment, the one thing I am worried about would be with these streaming sites
You Canadian.
Are these streaming sites, and I think it's the pricing that they offer. In my opinion, it's kind of too low. You know, I feel like with Netflix coming out at $10, I think people expect a lot for a little,
Yeah.
and they keep expecting more and more and more for less and less and less.
Yeah, I mean, all
And
content has been completely devalued. Movies,
right,
money. I mean, nobody thinks it's worth. As a filmmaker myself, nobody thinks anything's worth paying for anymore. Why can't I have it
right,
for free?
exactly. And I think maybe that's part of maybe the Marvel backlash, if you will, is that everybody's getting so much content for such little dollars that people, when they're expected to go actually pay money, they're like, oh, I don't need this anymore. And that's the one kind of, I really wish, like with Netflix, the amount of money they've lost over the years, keeping it at the $10, it's almost falsely kept that value down.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that's one of the big worrisome. And like you look at what now Netflix is throwing out money, $450 million for Knives Out, Amazon $450 million for Lord of the Rings.
Bruh, that's not sustainable.
Right.
I don't even. I don't understand that business model at all.
Well, I mean, with Netflix, it's just borrow money until hopefully you make money. They still haven't made money over there yet.
No, but they're getting out of their debt. I mean, they are getting out of debt, but it's some crazy ass shit, man. Crazy.
They are getting out of their debt, but once again, it was most of that was due to the pandemic that they didn't spend as much this year.
Right.
So when you do look at some of their financials, maybe next year, maybe they're going to go back even deeper, you know?
Totally.
That's the one kind of worry I would have with the overall state is obviously I want movie theaters to continue to prosper. I loved going to the theaters when I was a kid. I love taking people to the movies. Whenever I travel, I have to like fight my friends to go to the new movie theaters. They're like, why waste your 2 hours, on your vacation time in a movie theater? But I love going to theaters.
Because it's fucking great. That's why.
Right.
Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, why not?
Exactly. I mean, what else are you going to do for you sat out in the sun for 6 hours, you're on vacation. What's better than to relax, a nice cold movie theater, air conditioned, drink, popcorn.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I always have to like beg my friends. Sometimes I end up going alone, but sometimes they'll come with me. But I really hope the movie theater can survive the shift, but we shall see.
We shall see. Well, listen, Wiley Paul, I want to thank you for being on Midnighter. I'm going to let you both go and bring on some more people, but I have to say, you two gentlemen were phenomenal guests. And Wiley, after No Time to Die comes out, we should do another show and talk about it.
Yes, I do have one quick question for you, though.
Please,
Rob,
throw it in.
Your personal opinion. So after reading Mistborn, I really felt like the need for more the Hunger Games type, those type of movies, the young adult movies. And a lot of people said they've been dying, but there's so many stories, especially in the fantasy and sci-fi realm, that deserve to be told. And we finally are seeing like something like Wheel of Time and Dune. But I feel like people keep on saying that's dying, but I feel like there's such a rich platform for those type of movies. I want to know your opinion if you think those are ever going to come back or something like a Mistborn will ever be produced.
Well, I do. Look, I think we're entering. Well, look, let me just say we're getting the foundation books, Isaac Asimov's foundation books, which to me are foundational, seminal works of sci-fi, the same way that Dune is. If these movies make money, we're going to see more of them. And the fact that Scott Frank, who made Godless and who made The Queen's Gambit for Netflix, it was terrific. His next miniseries is an adaptation of a terrific book called The Sparrow. That's a science fiction novel it deals with matters of faith and first contact, and it's, to be honest, kind of fucked up, especially where it goes. And they're making that. And I think we're, assuming these films catch on and these miniseries catch on, I think we're in for a renaissance of literary fantasy, science fiction, and even horror adaptations that because they're proven IPs, they're beloved, and I think the problem is that a lot of people had just forgotten about them, and now we're getting people into places that are finally, like Scott Frank did Godless, which was a limited series for Netflix, a Western. Then he does The Queen's Gambit, which is an adaptation of Walter Tevis's novel, who wrote The Hustler and The Color of Money, but he also wrote the science fiction novels The Man Who Fell to Earth and a movie I would love to see, which is getting readapted again by Alex Kurtzman's company. Jesus fucking Christ, stop that guy. But and then he also wrote a book called Mockingbird, a science fiction novel that came out in 1980 that I would love to see come out. So we're getting a lot of amazing material, and I think people are turning their gaze back to novels. And I think that's, I mean, obviously, if you think about what we've been getting, whether it was Narnia, whether it was Lord of the Rings, we've been getting some incredible fantasy literary adaptations. And I think that, in the last 20 years, YA novels have sort of supplanted these sci-fi classics, and people are finally going back going, oh, well, gosh, there's thousands of books that we can delve into that would make great movies. Like, I'm still waiting to see, like, we get Ready Player One, but where's Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, which is one of my favorite books I've ever read, one of the most entertaining novels I've ever read. Every half page of that book is like, it has more ideas than most novels have in them. So I think that we're in a good place. We're going to see a lot more of these adaptations happen because all the people that grew up reading these things are finally in positions of power in Hollywood where they're actually like, we're gonna make this, as long as they are good. That's the key. They have to be good. So, well, listen,
Thanks
gentlemen.
for the Color of Money reference, because that's my favorite movie, and I always love a reference.
Oh, dude, I fucking love The Color of Money. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Paul Newman gets hustled by Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, it's so good.
It's that. And have you watched the original, The Hustler?
Oh yeah, I've seen them both. I started with I started with The Color of Money off a recommendation, and it supplanted as my favorite movie of all time. So like, yeah, the original is great, but just something with the music and
well, yeah, Mark Knopfler's score and all the Werewolves of London. Tom Cruise, his hair was perfect. So Vince. Good. I love.
I own that shirt, Rob. I have a Vince shirt in my closet that I wear often.
That does not surprise me. I have such great big love for that movie, and it's Martin Scorsese directing it. Yep. No one could make Pool look more interesting on camera than that movie does.
Yeah,
I mean, Nine Ball. Come on. I
love the opening with Martin Scorsese doing the narration.
Oh.
And then the ending to that movie is my favorite ending of all time. And it's just the simple words of Paul Newman saying, "I'm back." Bang!
Yeah, no, it
gets me every time.
It's great minds think alike. What a great fucking movie that is. Have you seen this movie, Paul? Have you seen The Color of Money?
No, I haven't.
Do.
Okay, you gotta see it. It's a mid-'80s movie directed by Martin Scorsese, and basically it was he had made a couple of movies like in the 70s or in the 80s. He made a movie with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis that did not. It was a great movie, but the Joker was pretty much based on it. Pardon me, just Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker. But it didn't do well, and The Color of Money was really Scorsese's return to commercial filmmaking. I mean, he'd been around for a long time, but he really came back with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio and Forrest Whitaker and
John Turturro.
John Turturro, who is great.
Yes. Star-studded cast.
As a douche. I mean, he's great. John Turturro played two great douches. In 1985, he was in To Live and Die in L.A., and in 86, he was in Color of Money. And my God, Color of Money is just what a film that is. Well, listen, gentlemen, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to bring some other people onto the Midnighter, but you were great guests. Thank you so much for being here. Wiley, good to see you again. Paul, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hook me up with a TV. Can't you give me like a sample? I'll promote it. Saskatoon's best TV dealer, right
That's
here.
That's right.
Hook me up. I'll be your best friend. Come on, hook me up.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for being here. They were great guests. And I have to say, you just never know. And these are two guys. I mean, I met Wiley before, but wow, it was great to see them both. Oh, and look who's here. Donnie. Speaking of good Canadian kids, Donnie is back. We've got Donnie, and we got the Cine Mike next here on the Midnighter. Let me throw them both in. Bear with me. I know it's not like StreamYards where people pop up. I'm using Wirecast, which is like a TV studio, and there's work involved when I put people in the show. So allow me to do that. I'm going to bring in the Cinemic, and well, tonight what I like about Donnie is every time we meet, hey, the Cinemic, I can hear me echoing. Is there any way you can put headphones on or anything? Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. But Cinemic, I can hear myself. So to bring you on I'm echoing. Okay, there you go. There now I'm not echoing anymore, which is fantastic. Can you hear me, Cinemic? All right, I'm bringing the Cinemic on and Donnie on. Our Cinemic, our connection's not great. You're breaking up. You look like you're in the Matrix. Your videos look like you're, but that's okay. I can still hear you. It kind of looks cool. I want you to be your best self. But I'm going to bring you both on. Maybe the connection will get better. Welcome to Cinemic, and of course, Donnie Fresh Cakes. First of all, Donnie, we know you're in Canada. You're a Canuck. The Cinemic, yes. We can't really see you, but where are you coming from? It's getting better.
I'm from the Philippines.
You're from where?
From the Philippines.
The Philippines. Are you coming to us from the Philippines? Oh, there you go. Now we can see your lovely face. You're coming from the Philippines. That's amazing. Well, welcome, both of you. Welcome to Midnighter. So, Cinemic, all the way from the Philippines. Where in the Philippines are you coming to us from?
I'm near Manila.
Near Manila.
That's what I would say.
And now you call yourself the Cinemic. I know that Donnie is a huge movie fan. I would assume because you're the Cinemic in the Philippines that you too are a movie fanatic. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think it's obvious with my collection at the back.
Oh, I can't see. I mean, the video is a little sketchy. But is that we can't? It's breaking up. There you go. You snap back and see you look good, then you snap out. It's odd. I don't know why that's happening. It's probably connection. Now the background's good. What do you got behind you? What do you collect?
Yeah, I collect Funko Pops.
Oh, all right. How many do you have? Do you know?
I have like 300 plus.
Oh my
too many.
God! And of course, Donnie here has an amazing Hot Toys collection, which he showed us the other night. So let me ask you guys this. Why, and as you all know, I'm a fanatical collector of Hot Toys figures, but I want to ask you, I guess I'll start with you, Cinemike. Why do you collect Funko Pops? What is it about Funko Pops that you love?
Oh, there is an interesting story about that. It actually all started, so a few years ago, I joined a contest, and the prize was a Funko Pop of Will Graham from Hannibal, and I love the show so much. So
dude, I have a Funko Pop of Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter right on my shelf up there. By the way, it's out of the box. He's standing in front of all my first edition Thomas Harris novels.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I won the prize, and then I received it. They shipped it to me all the way from Singapore. I received it, and I was like, you know what? I should start a collection since I already have one. And then the rest is history.
I love it. And you just kept collecting. Now, Donnie, let me ask you this. When did you start collecting Hot Toys?
Oh, shite. 2013, I would say.
Do you remember what your first one was? We know that Will Graham was Donnie's first Funko Pop. I mean, the Cinemike's first Funko Pop. Uh-oh, we lost you, Cinemike. You're still there, but now you're in darkness. But Donnie, you're back. So,
Oh no.
2013, Donnie, what was your first hot toy?
It's one of the Grails right now, and it's the DX13 Joker.
Ooh, I have that as well. I love that
And
figure.
reason being, I got the DX13. I had no idea about Hot Toys. I had I in 2013 didn't know what Hot Toys was, and I really loved Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's performance, and I know there was different types of collectibles out there, statues, busts of Heath Ledger, and I just kind of on Google. Heath Ledger, expensive toy or whatever. I wanted something that, and so through imaging, I saw it was a hot toy, and it was Heath Ledger, and I'm like, whoa, this is exactly what I am looking for, and went down that rabbit hole. It was my first one, and then just like a bag of chips, you can't have just one.
Kind of like Funko Pops. You get one.
Right.
It's never enough.
No, I just wanted Heath Ledger Joker, and then once I unboxed that and I saw the quality of what Hot Toys does, I'm like, wow, all right, what's next?
I know. And then you're stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Hot Toys now that I've completely paid off that I haven't received yet. I think like
And
4.
you got ones in boxes. I'm hearing you say, like, come on now,
Bruh. I mean, I'm looking at right here. You want to hear something hideous? You want to hear something hideous?
I don't know.
Okay, this is gonna freak you out. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You're telling me all the ones unboxed.
16, 17, 18. No, these are the ones. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm looking at 36 Hot Toys that are in boxes in this room right now that are not out of the box.
Yeah, that's what I was. Oh my God.
36 that are in boxes that have never been taken out of the box.
So what we're seeing in the background, are those most of your figures out of box?
Oh no, this is a very small portion of. These are just random. Like for instance, these figures here are like, these are my Alfrex 7 Samurai, and then there's my Nathan Algren from Last Samurai, and then Yojimbo, and that's Maximus from Gladiator. Those are the 7 Samurai toys are from about 15 years ago, but the Nathan Algren and the Gladiator are relatively new from the last 6 months, and so these figures behind me are just random. I probably have about 300 figures that you're not seeing.
Like mix match with any scale?
No, they're all 6 scale.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Say that number again?
I think about 300. I'd say about 300. Yeah, but you look at somebody like look, Cinemike has 300
I didn't know
Funko
that.
Pops.
No, I know. I thought you had a very small collection. It's just you're very secretive of your collection.
Oh, well, no, I you know what it is? I don't have it. There's a video I put on the my channel on the Burnettwork, which was a Hot Toys collection video I made about. It was after the 100th episode of Collider Heroes. I think I did it in 2016. And it had my collection when I was in the Axonar offices. I had a beautiful. I don't have a decent display case right now for my figures, so a lot of them are just in boxes. But I am rectifying that situation, and I'm going to start shooting when I do my YouTube shows from. There's 3 different stations I'm putting together right now where I can shoot from, where you will be able to see different areas of where I'm sitting, so you can see different things. But it was funny because I used to have books here, and I'm like, you know what? I want people to see figures, not just books. But now let me ask you this, Cinemike: do you take your figures out of the boxes, or do you leave the Funko Pops in the boxes?
I leave it in the boxes. I prefer it that way.
Yeah. Plus, you get the name of the figures, so everybody knows.
Yeah. They know who they are from what movie or show. Yeah, I think it's more appealing to display it like that.
Yes, yes. Now let me ask you this: in the Philippines now, can you go back to the movies, or are you still? Do you still have to deal with the pandemic? Are people being inoculated?
There's Yeah, they're still closed, unfortunately. Yeah, most of us are like spending our time on Netflix or VOD.
Right.
Yeah, I still can't go back to the movie theaters. The last time I watched was last February last year with Birds of Prey. That is the last movie that I watched on the big
Wow.
screen. Then,
Wow.
yeah,
Bert.
I've
Wow.
been going there.
That's kind of what a bummer, man. What a bummer. Um,
I
yeah.
think my last movie before shit hit the fan was okay. It did Star Wars the Star Wars come out after Joker?
Yes. Yes, it did. It came out in December of 2019.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Joker was in October.
Yes.
I think it was Star Wars. I think that was my last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was in December. I mean, if you know, the last movie I saw was Invisible Man, and that was it. But yeah, look, by the way, just to backtrack, I feel ashamed of a lot of the fact that a lot of my Hot Toys figures are still in boxes. I mean, I believe here's something sacrilegious. I believe in taking figures out of the boxes and throwing them away. Not the figures, the boxes. I mean, I used to do that with my classic Hot Toys figures, but now, I mean, I keep the boxes. But I've even got, like, for instance, I've got the Han Solo and Chewbacca Hot Toys 2-pack that came and it came with the headphones that they wear in the Millennium Falcon, and I'm waiting to get my Jazz Inc. Millennium Falcon cockpit. So, you know, I've waited for 2 years. It's been paid off for like a year, and when I'm supposed to finally get it soon, I can finally take those figures out of their boxes and put them in the Falcon cockpit. I mean, it's silly to have these things not on display.
I'm looking at my Han and Chewie right now.
Did you get the 2-pack? So they have the, yeah.
No, I missed out. I got them solo. Ha! Solo.
I get it. I get it. So let me ask you both, what are you looking forward to? Like, Cinemike, when you get back to the movie theater, what's the first movie you're hoping to see in a movie theater? What do you want to see?
I'm looking forward to all the MCU films: Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, MCU. Yeah, there's so many films that I'm just looking forward to watch. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, me too. What about you, Donnie? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, when Canada can fucking open up the doors.
Yeah.
But everyone's getting their shots, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're really slow at opening up the doors. But I'm really looking forward, like, just now that you've, like, you know, coming to realize it, I took the theater for granted.
I know, right?
And yeah, and I really can't wait to get back. If I had one movie on my mind right now, it'd probably be A Quiet Place 2.
Yeah, and that opens this weekend.
And we're not going to probably get it, and that's the shit kicker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not for you either, Cinemike. No Quiet Place 2 for the Philippines.
I would love to watch it too on the cinema, but yeah.
That is a depressing notion. Well, not to leave on a depressing notion. I mean, you know, your guys are, like you said, Cinemike, you're watching stuff on Netflix. Have you guys watched anything recently that you loved?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of shows. I mean, that's all I can do here.
Right.
Right.
But what have you watched that's good? What do you like?
That's good. What do you like?
I would highly recommend the HBO show Mayor of Easttown, starring Kate Winslet. I've been enjoying it. I think there's only one episode left because there's 7 overall. They have aired 6. There's 1 left, and I've been loving the show. It's a very well written crime, drama, mystery, and Kate Winslet gave probably one of the best performances in her career,
Yeah.
especially in the last two episodes that have aired. It's Kate Winslet at the top of her game.
I've watched the first
I
episode,
watched the
and it's
first
great.
and it's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
What about you, Donnie? Have you watched anything that you loved?
I wish I could say so, but no, I watched something I did not love. Not trying to be negative, but I watched Army of the Dead.
Yeah,
all
we
of us,
talked
or
ab-
most of us.
We talked about that. Oh, it was bad.
Yeah, and I missed out like a few days ago. It was a great show. You had Dieter on. I'm like, oh man, I should get in, but let everybody have a chance.
Well, listen, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for being on Midnighter, Cinemike, all the way from the Philippines, and Donnie, always good to see you in Canada. And I'll see you gentlemen later. As I said, great to have you both. And so I love when people come from, look at Canada and the Philippines, fantastic. All around the world. So that's Pete Den Cat says, am I wearing a Foo Fighters t-shirt? I am not. This t-shirt was actually made by Jason Spriggs, an imagination connoisseur, and that's who made it. It's one of he's Mr. Raygun. So there you go. I don't know if anyone else wants to come in. We've still got about a half an hour to go on the show. If you want, I just put the link in the chat. So, Redneck Trekker says, been watching Battlestar Galactica, so good, and season 5 of TNG last night. There you go. Big fan of that. Is the game in season 5, if I remember? Ashley, and is that Ensign Leffler? But yeah, I don't know if it is or not. But I'm wondering, is the link is out there. If you want to come on this show, you can. The link is in the live chat. You can click on it, and we'll see if anybody joins us. If not, I will end the show. I will end this, the 5th episode of Midnighter. It was a lot of fun seeing two people from Canada, someone from the Philippines, and someone here from the United States. All right, anyway, Michael Presto joins us. Let me make sure Michael Preston. Hello, Michael, how are you? I'm going to bring you on the show. Are you ready to come on the show? All right, Michael, I'm going to add you to the program. And I will see. Let me put you in and adjust you here. You can hear me okay? All right, Michael. We will bring you on. Let's see. I have to just adjust you a little bit. Bear with me here. I know people are like, Rob, you should get a producer to do this for you. Yeah, but who's going to do this for me at midnight? Welcome, Mr. Michael Preston, to the show. Hello, Michael. Where are you this evening?
Agawam, Massachusetts.
Agawam, Massachusetts. You've been here before, right?
Oh, well, I talked to you on Elizabeth. I didn't talk to you anymore.
Oh, well, welcome to this. That's right. Welcome to Midnighter. So let me ask you this. You're an imagination connoisseur. When did you first become one?
As a kid, Transformers and G.I. Joe as a cartoon.
Which one did you like better?
Definitely Transformers.
Did you collect the toys?
When I was younger, yeah, but then, later on in life, Mom goes, "Oh, we're getting rid of everything."
Have you not gotten back? And I mean, now they're making some amazing Transformers toys. You got to get back in there and start collecting them again.
I only want one hot toy, and that is Starscream.
And they probably make a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let me ask you this. What have you been watching right now? What do you have you been back to the movie theater anytime recently?
I was only back when we first opened up, and there was like 2 people in the theaters, and I watched Flash Gordon in the theaters.
Nice. How was that? Probably the new 4K transfer too.
Oh, it was great. My wife fell asleep, but I stayed awake for the whole thing.
Had she seen it? Had she seen it before?
She hated it, but I mean, she isn't quite up to the old 70s.
How can you hate Flash Gordon?
Oh, I don't know. That was great. Go Flash, go! Cartwheels.
I believe you, Aura, but I don't trust you.
I personally prefer football being played to fight.
Oh, it's
their
the
enemies.
best. It's the grace. He's playing some barbaric game. Match him like this. It's awesome. I love Flash Gordon.
Nice.
So let me ask you this: are you watching anything on Netflix? You watching anything streaming? Things you haven't seen before?
HBO Max does a show called The Nevers.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Now I haven't watched. Oh, I was gonna say I haven't watched it yet, but John Campy was telling me the ending really pissed him off. But you haven't watched the last episode yet.
Last episode, I have to watch that. But
And well, it's good. I mean, I know it's Joss Whedon's show, and they're bringing it back for a second season. But
are you sure it's Joss Whedon?
Well, no, he's not involved anymore. But
Okay.
but people like the show. Well, what are you looking forward to anything?
Movie wise, I'm definitely looking forward to Black Widow finally. Do you know when Wheel of Time is actually coming out? You had mentioned it.
We don't have a date yet. I mean, they're saying it's coming out this year, and it was renewed for a second season, but I don't think. I would imagine I could see it coming out probably in November or December. I would imagine that's when it's going to come out.
Also, the Eternals. I can't wait for the Eternals.
Dude, I can't either. I can't wait.
But I have a question about that though.
Yes,
if
sir.
Marvel does the Eternals, and let's be honest, the New Gods is the Eternals.
Right.
DC version. Why does Marvel go, yes, we can do it, and then DC goes, let's cancel it before it's a failure?
You know what I really think it is? I don't think that there's anybody at DC, or I should say Warner Brothers, that understands any of their characters beyond the pantheon of, say, the Justice League characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, because there's an ingrained cultural knowledge of those characters. Because everyone sort of grew up watching Super Friends or the Batman animated series, and anything that's too far off the beaten track of the DC superhero comics, most executives and the people at the studios that are making the decisions are like, what is this? The New Gods. And then, and I have to say, I've got my Fourth World omnibuses and my Fourth World absolute editions right here. I think a lot of people, especially today, there's not a lot of modern Jack Kirby fans. That if
Jack was the greatest.
Yeah, if you didn't grow up understanding Jack Kirby and then you're going to come to his art for the first time now, I think that people who delve into like an executive who gets the Fourth World omnibus and they're like, wait a minute, we're going to make a movie, we're going to make the New Gods, and it's in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, which is where a lot of the Fourth World and the Forever people. What is this shit? We're not going to what? And I think there's a lot of people who don't understand, whereas that's one of the great things about Kevin Feige, Louis Esposito, and Victoria Alonso. The people at Marvel get it. They look at all their different comics and they're like, okay, we're looking at Kirby's The Eternals and we understand. We get it. So they understand what it is. And I think there's a lot of people that look at Tom King was writing a script and developing it with Anna DuVernay. I just think that the people at DC probably were like, I don't even understand what this is. So
I understand why they canceled the other thing, the Aquaman Trench series, but when they said New Gods, I was disappointed. I was
too. I just think the New Gods is a pretty big concept. I mean, what's funny is even in the Snyder Cut, you see Granny Goodness, You see Dark Side. I mean, even though but can you imagine trying to go pitch that to a studio executive? I can just imagine, if I was, yeah, let's say I'm trying to explain. I'm explaining. Well, yeah, this is Granny Goodness, and someone's going to say to me, "Granny Goodness." I'm like, yeah. Then there's a character who's basically Death, the Black Racer, who skis around the cosmos, and they're going to say to me, like, what on actual snow skis? Well, yeah. I mean, that's the character, and I think and Metron and it's just.
Did they not watch their own TV show though? I mean, it was on Smallville. They actually had Granny Goodness in Smallville.
I know, but they're never. I think that it's really difficult to get people to understand all this stuff, and I think it's really, unfortunately, problematic. And it's always going to be that way. So what, in addition to the Eternals, which I can't wait, I mean, I don't understand the backlash and a lot of the hate that a lot of these things are getting.
I love everything Marvel. I have no problem with any of it. Falcon and Winter Soldier was good, not great, because I never understood why. In the end, with the Flag Smashers, I never understood two things. One, why he'd carry out the dead enemy, and two, why he'd stop the vote. He's actually, once that character started to kill people to stop a vote, ultimately you can't not vote on it then.
Right.
Because if you do, you have then helped out a terrorist. So that statement at the end of going, we have to listen to this woman. It's like, but you can't now. You literally have said, now we have to vote against it no matter what. It is a even if you believed in it, you have to go, and now you're wrong. Too bad. You lose because you have made it impossible. It's like acquiescing to terrorist demands. You can't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that's problematic. And I think that the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier, they had to change it up because of the pandemic. They had to reshoot a lot of stuff because it was about a pandemic, and they had to sort of change that, which was understandable. I mean, it looks like we have somebody joining us. Jer. Wow, a long-time imagination connoisseur. I'm going to finally learn right now how to properly pronounce his name, which is pretty exciting. Can you hear me? And yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. And this is exciting. It's going to be exciting to meet you face to face because you've been around. You've been an imagination connoisseur for a very long time. So it's nice to finally see you. So first of all, without further ado, let me bring you into the live chat, and I'm very excited because you're coming now. Are you coming to us from Finland?
Yes.
Now, could you please tell me how to pronounce your name properly?
It's Jere Manninen. That's basically how you say it. So you're saying it really good, sir.
Jere Manninen.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. It's great to meet you all the way from Finland. What is Finland? Let me get you, Mr. Preston. I'm gonna fix you up a bit here. What is Finland like now? Are you guys still locked down?
Yeah. It's. I would say that since we are pretty remote, the pandemic hasn't been that hard here. But yeah, I've been working from home like 2 years now. So
wow.
I mean like the whole time. So
now, what do you do there? What do you do in Finland?
You mean where I work?
Yeah.
During the day, I work as not basically IT, but like a company for the CRM system and all that stuff. So.
Oh, okay. That's great. So you guys haven't really been affected at all. Can you still go to the movies?
Yeah, the movie theaters have been open on a limited capacity for the whole time. But or at least where I'm living, because I'm living in a pretty small city outside the capital. So
okay.
So the movie theaters here are like 200 people max in one theater, like one hall. So
Wow.
that's why, like usually when during the early stages of the pandemic, I went to see a movie with my kids, and we had like 20 people in the theater. So
What did you go see?
let's see. I think that it was rerun of the Frozen 2. So
Right. Okay.
yeah.
How
So
many kids do you have?
I have 6 kids. So
6 kids. That's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. How many boys and how many girls?
Like 2 girls, 2 eldest are girls, and the 4 youngest are boys. So I have the youngest is like 1 year old, and the eldest is turning 12 in next year. So
Wow, what's it like having 6 kids? What are kids into in Finland? Do they like Star Wars, the Marvel Cinematic Universe? They like Frozen and Pixar?
they love Star Wars and everything about superheroes. Like they always want me to print out more coloring pages for like all the Marvel superheroes, and they play Lego superheroes on PS4, so they know all the superheroes. So
Wow.
PS5.
Yeah, it's coming. It's
yeah,
here.
I think like in Finland you have to be on a waiting list to even have a remote chance to buy one. So
Yeah. Yeah. So do they know like Black Widow is coming out and the Eternals is coming out and Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home?
well, since the eldest is only like 11, they haven't really gone to the movie side of the superhero business. They
Oh,
usually
okay.
watch like animated stuff on Netflix and all that stuff. So
Well, they're going to have a lot of fun when you show them all 23, well now by the end of the year 27 Marvel movies. So
yeah.
So like in Finland, do you guys have Netflix and do you have Disney Plus and do you
Yeah,
have
we have Netflix, and the Disney Plus actually opened up like half a year ago, I think. So
Right.
when the second season of Mandalorian started, that was the first day that it opened up in Finland. So, but I actually got it before that from.
You're a bad man. You're a bad. No, I think it's so funny
but I paid for it, so that's.
Oh,
I
that's
would say
good.
that's yeah. So
With those you can get those different those things on the internet that allow you to stream shows you shouldn't.
yeah,
But
yeah.
uh,
But
uh,
it was, I would say that the Mandalorian was worth it. But after that, it's a shame that Disney Plus didn't have new stuff. But the kids loved all the like the classic stuff. So
oh, that's good. That's good. So Michael, are you a Star Wars fan as well? Do you watch The Mandalorian?
Oh, I love the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That was the best thing since, well, Return of the Jedi. Star Wars Empire of the Jedi.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
So
know you have a hate for Return of the Jedi, but I still love it.
yeah, I mean, look, it's fine. I saw Empire Strikes Back 26 times in the theater, and Star Wars and Empire. I just thought Jedi
Rob,
was.
can you give me like 10 seconds? Just
Yeah. We'll give you 10 seconds. I love the fact that we've had people from the Philippines tonight. Now we have Jera in in Finland. I've never talked to somebody from Finland on the show live, so it's good to have them here. And so you're still a big Star Wars guy. Did you like Rise of Skywalker?
No, that was dumb. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like if I made soup and then made chili and then made mac and cheese, put it all together, threw it up in the air, and then ate it. It was just that bad.
It was not great. By the way, Orville Nation sent us a Super Chat sticker. He says he's the #1 fan. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm a fan of your channel as well. You've been on the show, so thank you for that. So Jer, when you can go back to the movies because you haven't really been hit by the pandemic,
Yeah.
are you close to the Russian border?
No, I would say I'm mainly in the central Finland,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's not that close to the border. But my father lives pretty close to the border. We have a cabin near the border, so.
Do you ever go to Russia?
Actually, no. I've never been. I've been to a lot of different places, like 2 or 3 times in the States and in few times in Japan. And I love to travel, but I actually never been to Russia. So
I love it. You're right next to Russia, but you've never been. That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
I've never been to Russia either. I've always wanted to go, but I've never gone.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends that like go there. Like some of them like go like every year. So and so, but yeah.
I want to go to St. Petersburg. I want to see the L'Ermitage, the museum there. And I want to go to Star City and watch a launch, but I don't think they let outsiders do that. What can you
Yeah,
do?
probably not. Yeah.
Michael, do you travel much?
Not really. I do a lot of work, a lot of time. I work probably 6 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Oh man,
Last time I spoke, I was working. If you recall,
that's
It's
right.
at work.
Yeah. I miss traveling. The last time, right before we had lockdown here, I was in New York City, and then we haven't been anywhere. It looks like I'm going to go back. I'm going up to Portland on a job in August, and I might go back to New York for Tango Shalom. Our movie is screening at the Brooklyn Film Festival, and it's actually playing in a theater, so I might go back there.
4K Blu-ray of that.
I know. I'm hoping. We're talking to distributors and all that, so we'll see. I mean, I just want it out of my computer. Just like I want to hand off this movie that I've been working on for 5 years. I'm like, please take it off my hands. I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
From the preview, I want to watch it. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
Well-
is there like a digital format coming someday? Because I don't think they will show it in Finland. So
Yeah, no, there will be. I mean, it's so funny to me because like we just got into the Madrid Film Festival and the Buenos Aires Film Festival, and I have to send the movie to every place that it goes, and I just sent it to Japan. It's so crazy that this little low budget independent movie is playing all around the world, but it's great. I mean, it is what it is, but I'd rather work on like Endgame. But hey, Tango Shalom is fantastic. I'm very proud of the work we did on it. But yeah, it'd be nice to just get it out there because you work on independent movies for years at a time, and it gets to the point where like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Can we just?
But don't you have like few bigger hits like the Cody films?
Yeah, the Cody Banks. I mean, that was sort of bittersweet because every story is a nightmare. Agent Cody Banks getting that made. What was really interesting about that movie was my friends Ashley Miller and Zach Stentz wrote the script. And Ashley Miller, I worked on Dota Dragon's Blood, the Netflix anime series with him. But him and Zach wrote Agent Cody Banks. And when they originally wrote it, it was basically Ferris Bueller meets James Bond. So the main character was for 16 to 24-year-olds. And then when we sold it to MGM, developed the script, we bought the script, developed the script, and we sold it to MGM. They decided, yeah, we're going to make this for younger kids. We're going to make this for 12-year-olds. And we're like,
Okay.
The movie it wasn't written for 12-year-olds. So they had it rewritten, and it was a bummer because the movie's fine. I'm happy I made some decent money on it, and it was fine, but it could have been much better. And it's really frustrating that we made a movie that I thought was very cool, and then suddenly it was made for little kids. Well, not little kids, but 8 to 12-year-olds as opposed to 16 to 24-year-olds. That's a very different kind of a movie. And I think if Agent Cody Banks had been made the way it was originally written, I think it would have been a far more successful film. It was too much like a kid's movie. It should have been more hard hitting and more like, I mean, Ferris Bueller meets James Bond is exactly what it should have been. And that's how it was written, and that's what the studio bought. And then they decided to make it for younger kids, which was frustrating.
Yeah.
But
I would say that I really loved Dota animated stuff on Netflix. So
well, thank
the
you.
animation is amazing. So
I'm glad you like.
really
Wait do you see the second season? It gets much.
Have they greenlit the second season?
Yes, yeah, they greenlit it a couple weeks ago. I mean,
Okay.
we were working on it, hoping that it would be greenlit, but yeah, and it's really spectacular. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it really goes to very interesting places. And I'm glad people seem to like it. So it's done really well. People really. I was surprised. I mean, when I started working on it, I started working on that back in 2019. You know, and you never know. Like, you work on these things for years, and you don't know how they're going to turn out. What's really weird is the work that I was doing right here on the computer I'm talking to you now on.
Yep.
I did editorial on Dota, and then I would send it out of my computer, and it would go to Korea and get animated. So what we did out of here, then the final animation was done, and we would see it like 6 months later. Then it would be put up, and you look at it, and it's such a strange, exciting thing to then see something you worked on, and then 6 months later, like, oh wow, you get it back in, and then suddenly I'm doing notes on the sound mixes and things like that. So that's always a good thing. Well, before I let you guys go, let me ask you. I mean, other than the Marvel movies, what are you most looking forward to that's coming up? What are some of the things that you really want to see?
For me, I would say Eternals and Dune, because I really love Villeneuve's movies.
Me too.
And like Blade Runner is, I don't know how many times I watched the new one as well. So, and Eternals, because it's I think it's going to be something new, and I really enjoyed the WandaVision and the Winter Soldier TV series. So
yeah. By the way, Darth Plato says Finland used to be a part of Sweden until Napoleon forced Finland into Russia's control as the Grand, is it what, Duchy of Finland in 1809.
Yeah.
So, but no longer.
We are pretty new country, so.
Darth Plato definitely knows his history. Now, you had said what you were looking forward to, Michael, but are you looking forward to the new Star Wars movies? I mean, the Book of Boba Fett is coming out too, and then more Mandalorian.
The Book of Boba Fett, but I used to play a game that possibly did a Star Wars game, obviously, that did the Star Wars trilogy way better. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic from Xbox, the original Xbox.
Yep.
Possibly the best story I've ever obviously played, but the story itself was so great. It was something I was hoping for, and then we got what we got. So I'm hoping Star Wars The High Republic is at least that type of, it's new characters, it's new people. I love Luke Skywalker, I'm not going to lie, but I don't need Luke Skywalker and Han Solo forever. They get old.
Right.
Times change.
I completely agree with that.
As for the Book of Boba Fett, I can't wait for that. That looks great. I'll assume it's going to be a miniseries because I don't think they're going to have that character because then you're competing with yourself kind of deal.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to be really interesting if they're going to go back and take Mandalore. I mean, where's it? I can't wait. I'm looking forward to all that. Well, listen.
One quick question.
What's that?
Can I ask you one quick question?
Of course, absolutely.
Do you think, I am a big Zack Snyder fan, but do you think Zack Snyder kicks himself at night now that he did one of the best? I mean, the Justice League was great. The Snyder version of Justice League was great. And do you think he kicks himself now because all they do is complain? It's like they tortured him again. It's like,
I know.
letting the same company beat the hell out of you. First they show him disrespect by making up a story. He left because his daughter obviously killed herself, and then he comes back to it, and then they torture him again for one scene of the Green Lantern or something stupid or small.
Yep.
Just let him do it. He's not even getting paid to do it. You feel it's just a total like, I'm washing my hands to these people, and personally, me, I don't want to restore the Snyderverse because that would be insulting himself by allowing it to happen. Even
Yeah,
if, I know it's never going to happen, but you know what I mean when I say that? It's like a disrespect again.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, there's no reason for him to go back to Warner Brothers. You can only do so much, and he's got a good thing going with Netflix right now. So
you may not love the Army of the Dead there, but the point is, he gets to work, and nobody is torturing the man. I mean, I say poor man, he does well for him, but in a way, it's like, hey, come back to us, and now we're going to beat you up again.
right. No, it's and he's not going to do it.
No.
By the way, Henning Ehlers says, Jarrett, hasn't Dieter's favorite Finnish director, Rennie Harlin, made his debut, Born American, about American students sneaking over the Finnish-Russian border? Yes, that is a true story. Yes, he did. Everyone loves Rennie Harlin over here in the States. Do people in Finland love Rennie Harlin?
I would say that I really enjoy his work, but I would say that the reception is a little bit mixed. I would say that right now, not a lot of people probably know his earlier stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that it's still pretty big thing if you get to work on like international films and all that stuff. So.
Right. Well, that's cool. Well, listen, gentlemen, I think. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Before we go, I wanted to show you because you are a collector of books as well.
Yes.
So I have a lot of books here as well. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, you've got a great collection there.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what are those mostly genre books? Are those science fiction, fantasy?
It's science fiction and fantasy, and I probably mentioned you before. I published my own book as well.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing. So, wait, show that again. Show that.
This it's not like a novel, but like a role playing.
Yeah,
like
that's amazing.
D&D book. So.
That's incredible. So, yeah. What's it called?
It's called World of Alessia. So it was actually released like a year ago. It's in sale on drive-through, but it's like a sort of like a fantasy sci-fi setting, similar like the Star Wars, but more with magic and all that stuff. So
how long did it take you to create a board game? How long did that take?
Like I started working on it like 7 years ago. So,
wow.
But I got a publisher like 2-3 years ago, and then we launched a Kickstarter that was successful, and then the final book is like 350 pages. So
wow. Well, that's very impressive. Congratulations. That's an amazing thing to get done. How did you like working with Kickstarter?
It was it was a little scary at first because it was my first project, but it's we are going to launch a second one in this year. So I really learned a lot. So I think it's a really good platform for like a small, like independent publishers and all that stuff, because it allows you to like if you have a clear vision of what you want to do and achieve, you can really get something done through that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that experience. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, congratulations. That's amazing that you got that done.
Thank you.
Well, listen, it's great to finally meet you. Michael, it's good to see you again. And I think I'm going to end this show because I'm exhausted, must go to bed and get up in the morning and stream on the John Campea show. But thank you both.
Over midnight there?
It is right now. It's 2:00 in the morning. in the United
Okay,
States.
because it's like 12 noon here, so.
Yeah, no,
5
it's
a.m.
2 in the morning. What time is it where you are, Michael?
5 a.m.
Yeah, so you're East Coast time. Wow. Well, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you both for being here on the 5th episode of the Midnighter. And I'm going to end this show, but thank you both. And it's great to put names to faces and our faces
it was
to
great to
names.
be here.
Well, it's good to see you. Well, have a good night, gentlemen, and we will see you both again, I hope. But it was great to have you, and I'll have to get your game. That's amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle souls, kind beings from across the 28 known galaxies, what a fun show this was. I'm going to end this show now, and this episode 5 of Midnighter is coming to an end. I want to thank my moderating staff. Darren Seeley's here. Bunyan Snipe is here. I would imagine, I don't know if the Richard was here. Maybe he's in bed. But I want to thank you guys for moderating late night. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via Super Chats and tips. That's very nice of you. If you want to send a letter to Midnighter, please do so at the Burnettwork.net website. So you can do that. I will be on the John Campea show tomorrow. I will be on Az's channel for Hot Toys at noon tomorrow. And then back for Robservations probably around 3. And on that note, I want to say every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I say to all of you, have a better night.